Good day and God bless. Hi, welcome to the Monday night class here on Unalienable. I'm Pastor Brian. I'm a creator's kid, and you are too. Well, as I said, this is our second installment of the Monday night class here on Unalienable. As I explained a little bit last week during the first class, I was inspired to do this because of a man I used to listen to and that I learned a lot from. His name was Jack Smith. He was well known in the American freedom movement over the last 3-4 decades, and he sadly passed away in 2019. I listened to many of his recorded downloads of Monday night class over his past 2 to 3 years when I subscribed. And I've been trying to get some of his earlier recordings as well. Hopefully I'll be successful with that. And I'm going to share at least one or two of his download classes here in upcoming weeks. But I wanted to get started with this in a way that will give us just a solid background of learning some basics about our country, the United States of America. Last week, we read the Declaration of Independence. If you didn't see it, yes, we actually read through the whole thing. And I want to encourage all of you to read, especially important things like what we'll be sharing here tonight. Anything that I will share here on these programs, I will do my best to provide a copy for you, either a link to it that you can follow and find online, or some way I'll attach it. At the very least, I'll make it available. If you write to me, I'll send you one, okay? Today, we're actually going to look at and read through the first Constitution for these United States of America. Really, it was not called the Constitution. I'm sure you've heard of it. It was named the Articles of Confederation. It's a document that we hear about in history class, that we talk about at times, but I only read it one time that I can remember, and that was a long time ago in, I think, 7th or 8th grade history class. And I dedicate this class today also to my 7th and 8th grade history teachers. I remember Mr. Shepard was one, but in 8th grade, I had Mr. O'Grady. And this was at Barrington Middle School, where I grew up. He and Mr. Peterson were the greatest history of teachers of all time. They used to take their chalkboards and use old school technology and show us the battles of the Revolutionary War. It was really cool. Anyway, I won't go into that. Anyway, so I'm dedicating this program to Jack Smith, but tonight specifically to Mr. O'Grady and Mr. Peterson, my 8th grade history teachers, who actually had us read the Articles of Confederation. And then in 8th grade, back in the day, we were required to take a U.S. Constitution test. And you know what? I may just have you all do that in this class one of these weeks very soon. So prepare yourself. If you've got a copy of the Constitution, pick it up and read it, because you can be sure we're going to be doing that here in upcoming weeks. Today, though, we're going to read the Articles of Confederation. First, though, I'm going to go through my disclaimer for this class. Again, it's basically same kind of disclaimer that Jack Smith did for his old class. This here, by the way, is a copy of the Articles of Confederation, the first page. And now we're going to read my disclaimer. The Monday night class is a forum for the private exchange of ideas and concepts between the providers and the recipients. The content is not meant as legal advice. The use or attempted use of any idea or procedure discussed in the Monday night class, as applied to the recipient's own personal transactions, cases, or controversies, or applied to any other causes, may or may not result in a favorable outcome or the same outcome as discussed in the class. Each transaction, case, or controversy may be different as a result of unique actions or unique statements made by the parties therein. Each different act or statement in any transaction affects or may affect whether any procedure or idea discussed in the class is relevant to your transaction, or that the outcome thereof will be as depicted in the downloads. The discussion of ideas or procedures in the class is not exhaustive of the subject being discussed in any one class. Many ideas and concepts that can affect the outcome of any legal or commercial procedure are not discussed in any one class, and the fact that you may not be aware of these issues may have an adverse effect on the outcome of your procedure. It is the responsibility of each party to understand his own transactions and to apply the appropriate and complete concepts necessary for a procedural and substantive remedy thereto. Amen. As promised, tonight we're going to read through the Articles of Confederation the whole way through. It's a little bit longer than the Declaration of Independence, so I'll ask you to stick with me. What is the Articles of Confederation? Well, we're going to look at a couple things on screen, and then I'm going to actually provide the text for you again as we read through it. I've got one fun thing here, some flashcards. This says, Articles of Confederation served as the first Constitution of the United States. This document officially established the government of the Union of the 13 states. Now, this was written in 1777, the year after the Declaration of Independence. I think it was fully adopted by all the 13 states in 1781, but it was completed by the Constitutional Congress in 1777. The colonies knew they needed some form of official government that united the 13 colonies. They wanted to have written down rules that all the states agreed to. The Articles allowed the Congress to do things like raise an army, be able to create laws, and print money. Article 2 says that the state governments still had their own powers that were not listed in the Articles. Article 3 refers to the Union as a league of friendship, where the states will help to protect each other from attacks. Now, there was no power to raise money through taxes, as the federal national government was too weak at the time. There was no way to enforce the laws passed by Congress. And the federal or national government was too weak at the time. The state governments had more power. Now, that's actually a benefit to most of us, okay? And really, that's still the way it should be. The states of our Union of America actually are still their own sovereign individual nation states. Each state had only one vote in Congress at this time, despite the size of the state. And the Articles of Confederation was replaced with the current United States Constitution. Although I will say, the Articles of Confederation never has been repealed. Actually, it is still in effect. We did not want to be like Britain, wanted to try something different and give more power to the individual states. Okay, here's another information page about the Articles of Confederation. This is from famguardian.org, Family Guardian, famguardian.org. I'm going to put a link to this below where you can read and learn a lot of very interesting details about the Articles of Confederation. But I'm not going to go through it all right now. I want to get right to the meat of it, and we will go ahead and read through it together. Okay, and then I'm going to ask you to do it again on your own. So, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. To all to whom these presents shall come, we, the undersigned delegates of the states affixed to our names, send greeting. Whereas the delegates of the United States of America in Congress assembled did on the 15th day of November in the year of our Lord 1777, and in the second year of the independence of America, agree to certain articles of confederation and perpetual union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, and Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, in the words following. These Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, and Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Article 1. The style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. So it assigned that to be the title or the name of our country. Article 2. Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence, and every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States in Congress assembled. Article 3. The said states hereby severally enter into a firm league of friendship with each other for their common defense, the security of their liberties, and their mutual and general welfare, binding themselves to assist each other against all force offered to or attacks made upon them, or any of them, on account of religion, sovereignty, trade, or any other pretense whatever. Article 4. The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice excepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states. And the people of each state shall have free ingress and regress to and from any other state, and shall enjoy therein all the privileges of trade and commerce, subject to the same duties, impositions, and restrictions as the inhabitants thereof respectively, provided that such restriction shall not extend so far as to prevent the removal of property imported into any state, to any other state of which the owner is an inhabitant, provided also that no imposition, duties, or restriction shall be laid by any state on the property of the United States or either of them. If any person guilty of or charged with treason, felony, or other high misdemeanor in any state shall flee from justice and be found in any of the United States, he shall, upon demand of the governor or executive power of the state from which he fled, be delivered up and removed to the state having jurisdiction of his offense. Full faith and credit shall be given in each of these states to the records, acts, and judicial proceedings of the courts and magistrates of every other state. Article 5. For the more convenient management of the general interests of the United States, delegates shall be annually appointed in such manner as the legislature of each state shall direct, to meet in Congress on the first Monday in November in every year, with a power reserved to each state to recall its delegates, or any of them, at any time within the year, and to send others in their stead for the remainder of the year. No state shall be represented in Congress by less than 2, nor by more than 7 members. And no person shall be capable of being a delegate for more than 3 years in any term of 6 years. Nor shall any person, being a delegate, be capable of holding any office under the United States, for which he or another for his benefit receives any salary, fees, or emolument of any kind. Each state shall maintain its own delegates in a meeting of the states, and while they act as members of the committee of the states. In determining questions in the United States in Congress assembled, each state shall have 1 vote. Freedom of speech and debate in Congress shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of Congress, and the members of Congress shall be protected in their persons from arrests and imprisonments during the time of their going to and from and attendance on Congress, except for treason, felony, or breach of the peace. Article 6. No state, without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled, shall send any embassy to, or receive any embassy from, or enter into any conference agreement, alliance, or treaty with any king, prince, or state. Nor shall any person holding any office of profit or trust under the United States, or any of them, except of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Nor shall the United States in Congress assembled, or any of them, grant any title of nobility. No 2 or more states shall enter into any treaty, confederation, or alliance whatever between them, without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled, specifying accurately the purposes for which the same is to be entered into, and how long it shall continue. No state shall lay any imposts or duties which may interfere with any stipulations in treaties entered into by the United States in Congress assembled with any king, prince, or state, in pursuance of any treaties already proposed by Congress to the courts of France and Spain. No vessels of war shall be kept up in time of peace by any state, except such number only as shall be deemed necessary by the United States in Congress assembled for the defense of such state or its trade. Nor shall any body of forces be kept up by any state in time of peace, except such number only as in the judgment of the United States in Congress assembled shall be deemed requisite to garrison the forts necessary for the defense of such state. But every state shall always keep up a well-regulated and disciplined militia, sufficiently armed and accoutred, and shall provide and constantly have ready for use in public stores a due number of field pieces and tents, and a proper quantity of arms, ammunition, and camp equipage. No state shall engage in any war without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled, unless such state be actually invaded by enemies, or shall have received certain advice of a resolution being formed by some nation of Indians to invade such state, and the danger is so imminent as not to admit of a delay till the United States in Congress assembled can be consulted. Nor shall any state grant commissions to any ships or vessels of war, nor letters of marque or reprisal, except it be after a declaration of war by the United States in Congress assembled, and then only against the kingdom or state and the subjects thereof, against which war has been so declared, and under such regulations as shall be established by the United States in Congress assembled, unless such state be infested by pirates, in which case vessels of war may be fitted out for that occasion, and kept so long as the danger shall continue, or until the United States in Congress assembled shall determine otherwise. Article 7. When land forces are raised by any state for the common defense, all officers of or under the rank of colonel shall be appointed by the legislature of each state respectively, by whom such forces shall be raised, or in such manner as such state shall direct, and all vacancies shall be filled up by the state which first made the appointment. Article 8. All charges of war and all other expenses that shall be incurred for the common defense or general welfare and allowed by the United States in Congress assembled shall be defrayed out of a common treasury, which shall be supplied by the several states in proportion to the value of all land within each state, granted to or surveyed for any person, as such land and the buildings and improvements thereon shall be estimated according to such mode as the United States in Congress assembled shall from time to time direct and appoint. The taxes for paying that proportion shall be laid and levied by the authority and direction of the legislatures of the several states within the time agreed upon by the United States in Congress assembled. Article 9. The United States in Congress assembled shall have the sole and exclusive right and power of determining on peace and war, except in the cases mentioned in the 6th article, of sending and receiving ambassadors, entering into treaties and alliances, provided that no treaty of commerce shall be made whereby the legislative power of the respective states shall be restrained from imposing such imposts and duties on foreigners as their own people are subjected to, or from prohibiting the exportation or importation of any species of goods or commodities whatsoever, of establishing rules for deciding in all cases what captures on land or water shall be legal, and in what manner prizes taken by land or naval forces in the service of the United States shall be divided or appropriated, of granting letters of marque and reprisal in times of peace, appointing courts for the trial of piracies and felonies committed on the high seas, and establishing courts for receiving and determining finally appeals in all cases of captures, provided that no member of Congress shall be appointed a judge of any of the said courts. The United States and Congress assembled shall also be the last resort on appeal in all disputes and differences now subsisting, or that hereafter may arise between two or more states concerning boundary, jurisdiction, or any other cause whatever, which authority shall always be exercised in the manner following. Whenever the legislative or executive authority or lawful agent of any state in controversy with another shall present a petition to Congress stating the matter in question and praying for a hearing, notice thereof shall be given by order of Congress to the legislative or executive authority of the other state in controversy, and a day assigned for the appearance of the parties by their lawful agents, who shall then be directed to appoint by joint consent commissioners or judges to constitute a court for hearing and determining the matter in question. But if they cannot agree, Congress shall name 3 persons out of each of the United States, and from the list of such persons, each party shall alternately strike out one, the petitioners beginning, until the number shall be reduced to 13, and from that number not less than 7, nor more than 9 names as Congress shall direct, shall in the presence of Congress be drawn out by lot, and the persons whose names shall be so drawn, or any 5 of them, shall be commissioners or judges to hear and finally determine the controversy. So always as a major part of the judges who shall hear the cause shall agree in the determination, and if either party shall neglect to attend at the day appointed without showing reasons, which Congress shall judge sufficient, or being present shall refuse to strike, the Congress shall proceed to nominate 3 persons out of each state, and the Secretary of Congress shall strike in behalf of such party absent or refusing, and the judgment and sentence of the court to be appointed in the manner before prescribed shall be final and conclusive. And if any of the parties shall refuse to submit to the authority of such court, or to appear or defend their claim or cause, the court shall nevertheless proceed to pronounce sentence or judgment, which shall in like manner be final and decisive. The judgment or sentence and other proceedings being in either case transmitted to Congress and lodged among the acts of Congress for the security of the parties concerned, provided that every commissioner before he sits in judgment shall take an oath to be administered by one of the judges of the Supreme or Superior Court of the state, where the cause shall be tried, well and truly to hear and determine the matter in question, according to the best of his judgment, without favor, affection, or hope of reward, provided also that no state shall be deprived of territory for the benefit of the United States. All controversies concerning the private right of soil claimed under different grants of two or more states, whose jurisdictions as they may respect such lands, and the states which passed such grants are adjusted. The said grants, or either of them, being at the same time claimed to have originated antecedent to such settlement of jurisdiction, shall, on the petition of either party to the Congress of the United States, be finally determined as near as may be in the same manner as is before prescribed for deciding disputes respecting territorial jurisdiction between different states. The United States in Congress assembled shall also have the sole and exclusive right and power of regulating the alloy and value of coins struck by their own authority, or by that of the respective states, fixing the standard of weights and measures throughout the United States, regulating the trade and managing all affairs with the Indians, not members of any states, provided that the legislative right of any state within its own limits be not infringed or violated, establishing or regulating post offices from one state to another throughout all of the United States, and exacting such postage on the papers passing through the same as may be requisite to defray the expenses of the said office, appointing all officers of the land forces in the service of the United States, excepting regimental officers, appointing all the officers of the naval forces, and commissioning all officers whatever in the service of the United States, making rules for the government and regulation of the said land and naval forces, and directing their operations. The United States in Congress assembled shall have authority to appoint a committee to sit in the recess of Congress, to be denominated a committee of the states, and to consist of one delegate from each state, and to appoint such other committees and civil officers as may be necessary for managing the general affairs of the United States under their direction. To appoint one of their number to preside, provided that no person be allowed to serve in the office of president more than 1 year in any term of 3 years. To ascertain the necessary sums of money to be raised for the service of the United States, and to appropriate and apply the same for defraying the public expenses, to borrow money or emit bills on the credit of the United States, transmitting every half year to the respective states an account of the sums of money so borrowed or emitted, to build and equip a navy, to agree upon the number of land forces, and to make requisitions from each state for its quota, in proportion to the number of white inhabitants in such state, which requisition shall be binding, and thereupon the legislature of each state shall appoint the regimental officers, raise the men in cloth, arm and equip them in a soldier-like manner at the expense of the United States. And the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed, and within the time agreed on by the United States in Congress assembled. But if the United States in Congress assembled shall, on consideration of circumstances, judge proper that any state should not raise men, or should raise a smaller number than its quota, and that any other state should raise a greater number of men than the quota thereof, such an extra number shall be raised, officered, clothed, armed, and equipped in the same manner as the quota of such state, unless the legislator of such state shall judge that such extra number cannot be safely spared out of the same, in which case they shall raise officer, clothe, arm, and equip as many of such extra number as they judge they can be safely spared. And the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed, and within the time agreed on by the United States and Congress assembled. The United States and Congress assembled shall never engage in a war, nor grant letters of marque and reprisal in time of peace, nor enter into any treaties or alliances, nor coin money, nor regulate the value thereof, nor ascertain the sums and expenses necessary for the defense and welfare of the United States, or any of them, nor emit bills, nor borrow money on the credit of the United States, nor appropriate money, nor agree upon the number of vessels of war to be built or purchased, or the number of land or sea forces to be raised, nor appoint a commander-in-chief of the army or navy, unless 9 states assent to the same. Nor shall a question on any other point, except for adjourning from day to day, be determined, unless by the votes of a majority of the United States and Congress assembled. The Congress of the United States shall have power to adjourn to any time within the year, and to any place within the United States, so that no period of adjournment be for a longer duration than the space of 6 months, and shall publish the journal of their proceedings monthly, except such parts thereof relating to treaties, alliances, or military operations as in their judgment require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the delegates of each state on any question shall be entered on the journal when it is desired by any delegate, and the delegates of a state or any of them at his or their request shall be furnished with a transcript of the said journal, except such parts as are above excepted, to lay before the legislatures of the several states. Article 10. The committee of the states, or any 9 of them, shall be authorized to execute in the recess of Congress such of the powers of Congress as the United States and Congress assembled, by the consent of 9 states, shall from time to time think expedient to vest them with, provided that no power be delegated to the said committee, for the exercise of which, by the Articles of Confederation, the voice of 9 states in the Congress of the United States assembled is requisite. Article 11. Canada, acceding to this confederation and joining in the measures of the United States, shall be admitted into and entitled to all the advantages of this union, but no other colony shall be admitted into the same, unless such admission may be agreed to by 9 states. Article 12. All bills of credit emitted, moneys borrowed, and debts contracted by or under the authority of Congress before the assembling of the United States in pursuance of the present Confederation shall be deemed and considered as a charge against the United States, for payment and satisfaction whereof the said United States and the public faith are hereby solemnly pledged. Article 13. Every state shall abide by the determinations of the United States and Congress assembled on all questions which by this confederation are submitted to them. And the articles of this confederation shall be inviolably observed by every state, and the union shall be perpetual, nor shall any alteration at any time hereafter be made in any of them, unless such alteration be agreed to in a Congress of the United States, and be afterwards confirmed by the legislatures of every state. And whereas it hath pleased the great governor of the world to incline the hearts of the legislatures, we respectively represent in Congress to approve of and to authorize us to ratify the said Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. Know ye that we, the undersigned delegates, by virtue of the power and authority to us given for that purpose, do by these presents, in the name and in behalf of our respective constituents, fully and entirely ratify and confirm each and every of the said Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, and all and singular the matters and things therein contained. And we do further solemnly plight and engage the faith of our respective constituents, that they shall abide by the determinations of the United States and Congress assembled on all questions, which by the said Confederation are submitted to them, and that the articles thereof shall be inviolably observed by the states we respectively represent, and that the Union shall be perpetual. The Articles of Confederation. Well, we read through them, okay? And they're quite involved, aren't they? As I said, longer than the Declaration. This has more specific instructions as how this first government of these United States would be formed and would operate. And it sets some limits and some absolute things that they were assigned to do and things that they were not to do. And of course, later on, for many different reasons, the U.S. Constitution was written and enacted. So I hope you found this valuable. I certainly do, or I wouldn't take the time and breath and energy to do it all. Again, I would ask that you get a copy. Maybe just click on the link and read the one that I just did. Make a little bit more sense of it for yourself, okay? Because there's a lot there. I read through it best I could, but there are some words I may or may not have pronounced properly, or we might not have fully understood. Again, this was enacted, and as far as I know, it's never really been repealed. There were some things in there that simply don't apply now, of course, or don't sound right to us these days. But it was an important document in our country's history. And we need to understand how our country started, how it operates, how it's supposed to operate. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining me in tonight's Monday night class. Next time, we'll look at another important issue or document concerning our country and our creator-endowed unalienable rights. I'm Pastor Brian. I'm a creator's kid, and you are too. God bless.